Get ready. It's time. Christina, Catherine, Lisa, Amy, and Lauren. Welcome to the Cimorelli podcast.
Hey, I'm Christina.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Amy.
I'm Lauren. And we're Cimorelli.
Welcome back to
The Cimorelli podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Green Chef, our king. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating clean with recipes that help support your wellness goals without skimping on flavor. Get 60% off plus free shipping with code 60Cimorelli at greenchef.com/60Cimorelli. Today, welcome back to episode... I forgot to check with my sources. 179. Feeling somewhat fine.
We're almost at 200.
Back to 179. Today, this is a topic that Lauren wanted to talk about because she feels she has wisdom to share. And today we're talking about our mental health issues and how we deal with them. And I don't know why I'm laughing about this because it's not funny.
It's a coping mechanism.
We love to.
Everyone does it.
Most of it. I feel like you don't do this as much. Make a bunch of jokes and talk about mental health stuff.
Yeah.
You don't do that as much.
I love to.
Well, I've definitely sent some very blatantly dry but like dark videos, which I will point out one to you later.
What?
About mental health. I can think of one in particular.
Okay, some memes.
Bro, like when your mother's side is this and your father's side is that. I sent you guys that video because I thought it was funny. But anyway.
I do my best material while crying. So that's just life.
That's the genre that we are, is talking about mental health stuff while joking about it.
Yeah.
Also,
but sometimes we don't.
There is a connection between
we definitely do
comedians. I just read about this recently. Comedians and having like depression and mental health struggles, which I think kind of goes hand in hand with coping with mental health with comedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why didn't I get the comedy part?
You are funny.
You love a comedy.
But it's like not on purpose though, so yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
You're still funny though.
You are funny though.
Your comedic brand is imitating everything people say.
That's not comedy. Okay. So
No, it is. How'd go? Bathroom. Miss Hannah.
I never get a laugh when I imitate things. It's just more of an annoying
No, you do
habit.
sometimes. It
I
depends.
laugh.
Sometimes. It depends on what it is.
I know that I've laughed at you many times in my life, so.
Okay, so let's start with our highs and lows of the week.
Oh gosh.
Let's see, my low. I'm like, should I say the same low that I've said 100 times? Yes or no?
The spirit move.
It's real.
My high is that Tristan is switched to one nap a day, and she and Baird are almost on the same schedule, and it's so cool and convenient.
Yeah, it actually really is.
Yeah, just
Well,
have to put her on one nap.
You actually get time to yourself
great.
for the first time in like a year.
I haven't experienced a weekend yet of it, so that's what I'm gonna have.
Wait,
this
is that
weekend.
like what it's like
that's
having
gonna be
twins?
so nice. No, having twins, they're on the same schedule.
Yeah, they're on the same schedule.
Yeah.
So you're going to the twin schedule.
Yeah,
So
it's
excited.
nice.
So it is amazing. I'm really excited about that. My low is that I'm trying to think. I've just been, it's just such a boring low. My low is I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. My most annoying regular low, because Nick had this like huge project that he had to finish up. It has this deadline. So he was just like crazy, working way too much. And I was just like dying. So I'm just recovering from that. So hopefully next week I'll have more energy. But yeah, my low is I'm tired, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, next. It's such a boring low.
Do you ever take naps?
You.
No, I wish.
I was going to say.
I can't nap either.
Oh, I love naps.
A
I was going to
couple
say, you
times-
could take a nap while your kids sleep.
The
since
few
they sleep
times
together,
I've ever
so-
napped, I woke up and I was like, I feel worse.
But how long did you nap for?
I feel that.
I don't
You have to
even
cap
know.
it. I always had an alarm. You have to cap it at 20 minutes or else you
No.
get... What?
That's not even a nap.
Yes, it is.
Like I close my
Lauren,
eyes.
You know how many times I've Googled this? The scientific research shows that it's like you have to be under 30 or you get sleep inertia.
I don't even know.
And I am
love
not-
sleep inertia,
No.
apparently.
Let me tell you, I do this nap all the time. 20 minutes. Or actually usually 25 because you don't fall asleep right away.
How do you know you're going to fall
No,
asleep?
if I do that, I wake up after 20 minutes, I'm going right back to sleep.
Sometimes I do want to go right back to sleep, but a lot of the time I feel very refreshed. So I do
Love
it.
it.
Oh, I can't do that, so sucks.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't nap. It's just a problem.
No, I feel like it is such a thing.
feel
Some people
that.
just can't.
Whatever.
I literally feel that. Even when I'm sick, I stay up the whole day, no napping.
But I have the gift of being a morning person, so I'll just take that gift.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, take
I'll live with
Same.
that gift
For
every
real.
day.
Is that why we both can't nap?
Probably.
Oh,
So
probably.
you wake up early and go to bed early-ish. You go way bed earlier than me, but still.
Could be.
I'll take that gift.
Maybe.
All right. You people?
My low was this morning. I don't know. I just had a really hard morning. It was kind of intense. I had a conversation with my husband that it's just not anything that he said. It was just a tough conversation, and it was just very triggering and hard. And I was sad. So this episode is perfect for today, because I'm like, ooh, this is me right now. What do I say to myself in this moment?
I feel that.
I
is
don't
me
really
right
know.
now.
I'm trying to think of my high. I did make a new recipe that I was very excited about because it was so easy.
Love it.
And I think I'm going to put it in my regular
I saw
rotation.
that. Oh, it looked so good.
Oh, no. That one already went in. It is a different one.
Oh,
I didn't post about it because it was kind of ugly. It was really good.
Yikes.
It was a black bean and chicken enchilada casserole.
Oh.
And it was so easy.
That.
I sent it to you, but you didn't respond.
When?
Like 2 days ago. I said, I think you would like this
I
recipe.
haven't seen a darn thing.
Because it has Greek yogurt in it, and she loves Greek yogurt.
Oh, I saw the word Greek yogurt in the text. I don't think I've even opened it yet.
It's okay.
And I was like, I gotta save
it's
this
really
for later. It's
good.
gotta be good.
If
one.
you like enchiladas, it's like
Wait, I
so
always wanted
good.
an enchilada
Okay,
recipe.
if there's Greek
I'll send
yogurt
it
in
to you.
it,
It's
I'll
really
probably
good.
make it.
Yeah.
I just top it with
Does it
some
have not very
avocado.
many ingredients?
Yeah, it's so easy. It's
I love
it's
that.
so easy. So
I
anyway,
love that.
I just feel like I've won the lottery when I find an easy recipe that I know I'm going to be using over and over.
Hallelujah.
My high was I had a good walk the other day, and I was just like,
Love it.
wow. Like, you know when you just have that one walk that really just turns your mind around?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's you didn't realize it was gonna happen,
No.
and it just came to you, and you're like,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. I know exactly what you're referring to.
My low was, some mental health struggles that we'll
Your
talk
mental
about
health was
later.
skyrocketing.
Yeah, my mental health was skyrocketing, as they
It's
say,
difficult.
which we will be discussing later. So,
Everyone's like, what? When we say like an inside joke. And we have to like explain every inside joke.
oh, that's kind of me making fun of people, who say mental health instead of like mental health issues. Like people would say like mental health is skyrocketing, but they mean like mental health issues. And it's just funny to me when they say that.
They say, I have mental health. And they mean mental health issues. I've seen people say that.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, it's just funny to me.
That happens.
Okay, you.
I was like, what did I do with my life? I went to the pool.
Oh, you
went to the pool
You
every
went to the
day.
pool.
I went for 6 hours one day,
Oh,
and it was a marathon.
what did you do for 6 hours?
I laid there
for
6 hours.
You laid?
Wow.
I read a teen novel, went on the old phone. Someone left a floaty, so I swam around on the floaty for a while,
You
talked to
used
On
someone
someone
else's
friend on the
floaty.
phone.
That their butt was on. You went
Well, it was
on.
like a donut one, so
Their butt was in the middle. Okay.
it was the middle. I
Their
don't know.
armpits were
Wow.
on.
It was
Okay.
fun. You're telling me you don't shower after all the gross things are in the pool? Because I do.
What?
You
She
shower,
showered
so it
after,
doesn't
so-
matter.
Also, she was technically floating in a vat of bleach, so
Yeah, so it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
it's probably
I
pretty
talked
clean,
to a
honestly.
friend
Right.
on the phone for a while. Like, it was
Okay.
just really fun. And I was really pushing
Okay.
myself to see how long I could do it.
Why?
I took a break to get some food and refill
Good
my
for you.
water for like
God.
10 minutes.
Set a record.
Yes, I tried. I needed to outpool all the other people.
Wow.
Just 'cause
Perfect timing as
I
summer
wanted
comes to a
to
close.
see. I wanted to see how long I could stay at the pool because I knew I could stay there for years. And I'm like, I literally can. It's so fun.
Wow.
I feel like my record is 2 hours.
I sit in the shade and I just lay there.
I don't love the pool.
Oh, I love
I'm
it.
gonna be real.
I love it. Just because it's better sitting in the shade because it's not as hot.
Mm.
And you just like get to lay in the heat and be
I feel
like
like
a
most
lizard.
pools don't really have much shade.
Yeah, there's a
So.
perfect awning that's like amazing.
Depends.
Okay, I mean, you're just sitting outside.
It was
enjoying
girls'
the-
day for a while. It
the
was fun.
outdoors.
Love it.
Wait, when you guys hear people like talking so loud in the pool, do you eavesdrop on them? Because I definitely do.
Yeah, if it's interesting.
They're
Yeah, but that's you, Amy. You're the person people are eavesdropping on.
and
Yeah,
I
what?
apologize for that one.
It means like asking for a friend.
No, these girls were at the pool and they were just, having fun, and I was listening because I wanted to.
Well, yeah. I
Talking
totally
so
would.
loud, how you not hear?
Oh my gosh.
I eavesdropped
I'm sorry
on
for
this.
yelling.
I eavesdropped on this conversation a couple months ago at the pool. That was disheartening
Oh,
because it was these teen girls and they were being so mean. They were like talking about their friend, or maybe they're not. She's not their friend. I don't know. But they were like, "Oh my gosh, did you see she did this? It was, or she was wearing that, or did you see she did her hair like that?
No,
it was so ugly." And I was like, "No, stop!
That's
So
that
it
is
was really
such a like,
depressing.
I don't know. That just, yeah. Wow.
They might have been like They might have been like 8th graders.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's, if you like,
so
it's sad, but that's such a projection of like their own insecurities. Of like, you don't say that about someone unless you're feeling like deeply insecure in yourself. And I mean, which is very normal for teens. It's really sad, but yeah.
It's hard to be a teen this day and age. Anyway, so that was my eavesdropping. It was depressing.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and then my low, just, generalized anxiety, the vibe,
Wow, we are all ready for this episode today.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it? Okay, so we're going to jump into our main topic. But first, I have to remind you, if you want to watch all of our episodes, because we don't post all the full ones online, you need to join our Patreon, patreon.com/Cimorelli. It is an amazing way to support us, first of all, but also we have so much good content there. Every Monday, each one of us does a Q&A with you guys, with you patrons. And you guys get to ask us whatever questions. You guys always ask really good questions too. And we have a bunch of like extra content we filmed before, like different series, like things we don't talk about, stuff like that. We have all these cool series and like these really weird videos Lisa used to do for Wacky Wednesday that are quite wild. We've rewatched some in recent days, and I was shook. Like the maggots in the trash one, that wasn't even her. That was just
oh my gosh, that was
wild.
I didn't realize we filmed that. But
what a life.
One of my worst days caught on camera.
That's disturbing.
But anyway,
That was funny.
join patreon.com/Cimorelli. You're supporting us and the podcast, and you get all the full episodes, and it's a really positive, awesome community. So check that out. It's linked in the description. Thank you so much to our patrons. You guys are the best. You keep this podcast going. So thank you.
We love it. You keep us young.
You keep us young. All right, so let's jump in. I feel like this actually, the theme is kind of like the art of cultivating resilience.
Yes.
Because this is,
It's like coping.
I get knocked down,
But I
get
up again.
You're never gonna keep me
down.
Throw it back.
That's what this is. Because life, it just
Kicks you down.
It's
then
not fun.
the economy just kicks you down.
Yeah.
Then maybe your mom, not my mom, maybe your mom knocks you down.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe
or your friends
your
make fun of you at the pool.
Maybe your health. Maybe your boss. Maybe your pregnancy. Maybe your postpartum. Maybe your whatever the heck.
Oh,
Just knocks you down over and over and over. That's the consistent thing in life, is that it's going to keep kicking. It doesn't stop kicking.
never.
But you have to cultivate the skill of resilience.
Yes.
It is true.
It's just like a baby learning how to walk. Tristan's learning how to walk right now. And it's like, they just keep falling. Like, she has hit her head so many times, like just fallen back and just smacked her head. But they just keep getting up. Mm-hmm. So you have to learn how to, and soon enough, she's going to have strong enough legs to actually just walk. But she has to just keep standing up and keep standing up. So that's what we're talking about today. The times we've been knocked down and how we developed those skills of actually getting up, because the hardest part of getting up is like your mind telling you all the reasons why you can't or shouldn't, or it's not going to work. You're completely incapable.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are for even trying? Or why would you even try when you definitely can't? All those kind of things that your mind will tell you, that'll trick you and keep you down in your whatever you would like to identify with, ditch, toilet. Like I say, I'm doggy paddling in the toilet, or it's like laying in the ditch, or what would you say?
You
for
careened
yourself?
off the side of the road and went down.
I feel
drowning.
like a dark cave.
A cave.
Yeah, just a heaviness.
Isolated
I really identify
somewhere.
with drowning. So you're just like isolated in the cave. I'm like drowning, sometimes in the toilet, sometimes just
Okay,
drowning.
drowning I do identify with sometimes.
I identify with like being trapped in a dark forest. And you're like, and you like don't know how to get out, but you like find yourself in there.
What about you?
I feel like mine is more like I'm wearing these glasses that are like stuck to my head that have this really foggy, blurry, and I'm like, I can't see.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not like real, but I still can't see.
Yeah.
And I can't see anything good, and it's just kind of like just this dark filter over my eyes.
I think it's like your mind has convinced you. Yeah, your mind has convinced you that you've looked at all the options. Basically, it's like, well, we've scanned through every option available on this planet, and we've done it all, and there's no way out. I'm telling you, it's hopeless. There's nothing you can do. You're not strong enough. Blah 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 blah. It really is. It really is a mind game. Because I feel like I'll find myself, I don't know if you relate to this. Tell me. I'll find myself, or tell me what you find yourself doing. I find myself waiting for someone to save me a lot of times. I'm like, well, someone needs to do something. And it ain't me. I'm like, someone needs to change something around here. Like, I did everything. Like, someone needs to save me from this and like change my circumstances or something. I don't mean like God saving me. That's kind of or I do, but I also don't. That makes sense. It's like I'm waiting for someone to just like come change my life.
Yeah.
Rather
it's like,
than,
but only you
Can prevent forest
yeah.
fires.
Rather than like God, like change. Sometimes He changes circumstances, but a lot of times for me, it's like changes my heart and mind, and then I take a step that actually changes it. Like normally, it's not that things get better. I think that's what we think.
Yes.
We think when things get better, I'll feel
like
better.
when the circumstance
Yes, when circumstances change, I'll feel better. But in reality, it's like, no, when I do something different, it's going to change my mind. It's going to change my circumstances eventually. But really, it's going to change my mind.
Yeah,
That feels better.
that's an interesting point about circumstance, because that's something I was thinking about when I was thinking about this topic today. Like, the same circumstance could happen to like a bunch of different people, and everyone could react completely differently, because everyone has different experiences, different backgrounds, different temperaments that are going to form you and your unique set of beliefs about yourself and about the world. And because of it's more about what you believe about those circumstances. Like you could be struggling. I feel like I always think of postpartum because it's like tender time mentally. You could be struggling postpartum, and you could maybe have a really good support system, and you're able to believe like, this is just a hard time, everyone goes through this, like I can do this. Or you might think, I'm failing, everyone else around me is having a great time, but I'm just a bad mom, or I'm not capable enough. It's like the beliefs that you have about yourself that are sort of informing that experience and making it very, very hard.
Yeah.
Like because of your unique experience and how you've been formed. And one of the things too that I also think of is, I think one of the most profound mental health things that I have come to believe is that it's never just nothing. And I think this is something a lot of people start out with in their mental health journey. They're like, I'm really depressed, and literally for no reason, like nothing happened. I just am. Or like, oh, like I'm having all these mental health struggles, but like there isn't a reason. It's just like, I'm just like really down or whatever.
I'm anxious for no reason.
I don't believe that. I really don't believe that anymore in my experience. And maybe some people disagree with that. I think it's really more a matter of how in touch with yourself you are. Because I swear that it's not nothing. Like if you're really struggling with your mental health that day, I guarantee something happened recently that triggered a thought or a belief or something in you that like made you feel really down or really hopeless or really scared or anxious. Like if you dig back in and really try to understand where was the root of this. Our mom would always say, you got to get to the source of the smell when we were cleaning the house. Like if something smelled bad, it's like, you can't just keep spraying Febreze all around. You have to take the trash out, or you have to get into your fridge and pull out the moldy food and throw it away. It's the same thing with your mental health. You can't just keep like, I don't know. I feel like you're just pretending that things are fine, or like, oh, nothing happened. I don't know why. It's like, no, something probably happened. And there is a situation. There is something that like connected with that part of you that's really struggling, or a belief or a shame or something. And getting to the source of that to me is always like, I don't know, like even just getting in the shower. That was actually me this morning when I was having a really hard conversation, and I walked away and I took a shower and I was like, why was that so hard for me? What was it that we were talking about that really made me feel triggered? And as I started reflecting on it, I was like, oh, that sentence and that sentence made me think of this, and then that made me think of this belief. And I was able to kind of analyze it a little bit to get to the root of it. And then I was able to come back with my husband and talk to him and be like, oh, that was really hard for me to talk about because of this. And even just the moment that I identified it and I had a clearer picture of why, I already felt a bit of weight. Not that it was perfectly resolved, but a little bit of weight lifted off my shoulder. And it takes a minute, longer than a minute. It takes a while for the fog to clear. But if you can identify the source of the smell, so to speak, that will help you a lot in like, what do I do with this feeling or this thing that I'm struggling with?
I've been thinking a lot about the difference for me between like when I'm just like struggling versus when I go into a depression, because I don't go into a depression every time life is hard, every time like there's an issue. And what I realized is that the difference for me, and I'm like, this is like really like complicated thing, so I will try to make it simple, but I don't know if it will get everything across. But okay, it's like what you were saying about how like something triggers me, and it's like, and it's something that triggers like a very old wound, not something that I have an easy time working through, something that's like really deep thing that I'm like, I haven't really gone there yet, haven't really shined the light on this box in the basement yet. So then it's like there's a child outside of my room who's banging on the door screaming like, I'm in pain, I'm upset, like yelling, and I'm like, I cannot open the door and look at this child right now, so I'm going to blast music in my room so I can't hear the child. And it's like I have to like basically turn everything up all the way to avoid hearing the screaming, which in turn makes me checked out from everything, because in order to participate in reality, I would have to open the door and hear what this child is screaming at me.
Wow.
And I'm like, I can't deal with that. And then that's the second problem, is that it's the giving up versus what I would call the eye of the tiger for myself.
Yes, I know exactly.
It's when I give up for a time and I'm like, I can't do this because of the child screaming and banging on the door all the time. I'm like, and it's like, I didn't realize that was really what was happening until recently. But it's like, I can't do basic tasks. I don't have any goals, any dreams, anything I'm looking forward to, because anything that I do that's not just completely numbing myself right now would require me to face this really painful thing, and I am incapable of doing it. So it's like, I can't do anything because I can't face myself. So it's that like I can't mentality that you're talking about right at the beginning. And it's like the difference between me going to like a depressive episode versus just like having a hard time and dealing with some painful things and like working through the past is if I can keep that like fighter mentality or not. And it's like, that's kind of what I was talking about like on the walk that I went on this week, that I got the eye of the tiger back. And I'm trying to put into words what the eye of the tiger is to me, because I don't know if everyone feels that though, or if it's more just me. I know you know what I mean. But it's like,
I feel like it's a 1 second shift. It happens in 1 second.
It's like I was walking and I put on my positivity playlist and I was just like, I am done with this. I am not just going to be some loser that's going to do nothing. And it's like, I think what it is it's for me like deciding that pain and sacrifice is worth it for a greater good. That's what it is. I'm like, and it's like, I can handle going through this hard thing for these greater goods in life, instead of being like, there's no greater good, I can't handle anything. And that's what's so difficult though, because in the depression, it's like, I can't see the greater goods. I'm like, I can't handle the child screaming at me, banging on the door, so I can't see that. But for me, I think what gives me like the eye of the tiger back is seeing like what I'm going through as like a sacrifice for something greater, of like, I can actually fight like feeling this way and like do the things I need to do to take care of myself. Like I can actually wake up tomorrow morning with an alarm and go on a walk and do like little things to take care of myself. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yes.
it's just like, I guess, there's a couple points here. Number one, it's like me trying to turn up the volume to avoid what I'm really feeling. Two, it's deciding to give up on yourself or to like actually have that like Rocky moment, like the montage in the Rocky movie.
Gonna watch Rocky.
That's what it is.
Recent, like last week, I was like, I gotta watch Rocky.
And it's like you have to keep the Rocky montage moment in your mind, or else you will. Well, me. I don't know about you. Will just go into this like I can't do anything. And then the other thing though, that's so hard is that there's also such negative self-talk that it's like I can't like get the motivation to do anything that's helpful for me if I don't feel like I deserve it. And
that makes
and
sense.
it's so crazy though because those thoughts are what I'm avoiding. I'm avoiding the feeling of I don't deserve to feel better. I don't deserve anything.
Oh,
no one cares about me, blah, 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 blah. I'm avoiding all those thoughts, but the child is still screaming and they're like subconscious background noise in my head of like, you don't deserve anything. You're a loser, blah, 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 blah. So it's like it feeds in on itself. And it's like if I would actually face those thoughts and then explain to myself why that's not true, then I would have the motivation to do all these things, but I don't have the motivation to face them and tell myself it's not true because it's so hard and I'm so tired.
Well,
so,
and when you're in that place, right? I love this, like, is this a metaphor?
Yes.
You know,
Love
I love
metaphors.
it. When you're in, okay, after the child screaming and all that, and then, like, everything's kind of going wrong, it's like when you're doing, like, things in your life and you're kind of, like, flopping at everything or just
yes,
not
it
that
makes
good,
it worse. You're like,
then
I don't do anything good.
it becomes your new reality is like I'm screwing everything up or just things aren't
I'm
going
a
well for me,
loser.
and it's like I'm helpless, I'm powerless, I can't change anything.
Yeah.
And that becomes like after a few days and then a few weeks of that, it just becomes like your reality. Like I was picturing, once that first part happens, then once the second part happens of things kind of not going well, then it's like I would say the depression thoughts is like this huge heavy chain that goes on you, and it's all these thoughts every day of like, see, you can't do it, see, you can't change anything, see, things won't get better, and everything you do is so heavy and so difficult because doing any task while simultaneously first feeling the weight of the exhaustion that it's so exhausting trying to ignore the child screaming at you. So it's like the exhaustion of that plus the constant thoughts of like, see, this isn't going to go well, or see, that was screwed up, or see, it's just the see, it's not good.
It cements
everything you try to do is like, it's like any task, it's just so difficult. You don't even want to think, you just don't want to hear, you don't want to hear that voice again telling you how much you screwed up again or how incapable you really are.
It's like you can't do something to make yourself feel better because it's like, I cannot handle the crushing pain of failing at something right now, of like trying to do something
Like,
and then
I cannot have another failure. I just can't.
I get that.
So you just give up on everything.
Yeah.
In the moment, I'm curious what everyone else's thought like pattern is. So you're saying a big one for you is like, I don't deserve whatever.
Yeah.
For me, it's more, you are helpless. You are completely helpless.
Yeah.
And you cannot change anything. See, you just tried really hard. You just put a ton of energy into that and nothing changed. That's my ultimate nightmare. It's like you are powerless. Nothing changed when you did that. It's like you are just a speck of dust in this world and nothing you do will make a difference. What about you guys? What hits you the hardest, do you think? What's that thing that gets you down?
I feel like for me, it's more of like, it's interesting to hear you talk about this because I really do think anxiety and depression are it's like two heads of the same coin.
Yeah.
But they present so differently. And I was thinking like, when I start to feel those really dark feelings of like, oh, the child is screaming and pounding on the door, like I feel like my my go-to is more of an action-oriented thing that's very rooted in anxiety that also is related to this thought of worthlessness. It's like feeling like you're so afraid of becoming the worst version of yourself, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm slipping into like this unlovable person, or this person that's like just all these things that you don't want to be. And so you're like, I need to make a plan and change my life so that I can be good enough to like avoid, because I feel like there is part of it with the depression that I've experienced where it's like, I'm really afraid that I'm never going to feel joy again in my life, or I'm never going to feel good, or I'm never going to feel like excited about anything. But for me, it very quickly morphs. And I think that really goes hand in hand with me having an eating disorder. Like, I need to do all this stuff and be striving all the time. And if I'm not like running on the treadmill, like not literally, but figuratively, just like doing everything, I will never outrun this fear of like, and then when I actually start to face that fear of that dark feeling, it really is a feeling of not being good enough, feeling worthless, feeling like unlovable. And I'm afraid that I'm morphing into the person that is going to be a failure, that everyone runs, that deepest like.
Is your guys really similar, do you feel like?
Well, no, because I don't do anything. I just lay there.
Oh, it's like kind of opposite.
Like
it's
for
like the
me,
same.
yeah.
It's like the same
For
root,
me,
but like opposite.
turning up the noise is not doing anything. It's
Interesting.
turning up the TV.
Yeah.
And laying there.
Yeah, see, I'm terrified of that. I'm
Yeah, it's
so
opposite,
like
but same
getting
issue.
mono really revealed that to me, because I literally could not leave my house for like 2 months, and it was the anxiety was so high because I was like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. What if it gets really dark? What if I get scared? Like, and it did at first, but then it actually wasn't as bad, and it was actually, it makes me want to cry. It was actually very healing to be like, it's really not as scary as you think. Like, you're not someone that you have to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Like you really are like being with yourself alone is actually not as bad as you think. And I don't know, it's not something you have to be afraid of if you are like an anxiety person that's like, I'm just gonna like do a million things and never be home and like always be talking to someone and always be listening to something because I don't want to think about my thoughts or like be alone with myself. I'm still kind of scared of like being alone and being still. Like that's because I'm like, what if it's definitely better now, but it's still times where I'm like, what if it gets really dark, or I feel scared or alone, or like that worthlessness or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I felt both those different ones. If not the same, I don't feel for some reason, mine's really rooted more in like helpless, like alone, abandoned, and helpless. That's my biggest thing.
Huge.
But I can really relate to both of those of like, you're so scared to have to listen to what's going on, and then the other one of being so terrified to do one thing because you don't have like the bandwidth to handle one tiny little. That's
failure.
Especially I felt in postpartum. It's like, I don't want to try a new nap schedule. Like, like I had so little to work with. I'm like, we can't make the switch to the nap schedule. I can't try to put them down for another nap. And like, what if he doesn't, whatever. I can't try a new food with him. What if he doesn't eat it and he throws it on the ground? It's like, then you sweep it up. You're like, I don't have the energy to think about sweeping this up right now, which it sounds like so easy if you haven't been through it, but it's like, you're so burnt out. You don't even have the energy to think about having to sweep something up. So you're like, I'm just gonna give him the same food I've given him 15 days in a row. I don't know. Something like that. What about you, Amy? Would you say hits you the most?
I don't know because
Hits
I do. It's a lot of different things because like the times that I've had the worst crashes, or like, because I've lived a lot of life, I think, with like a depression that I can function highly through. So like it doesn't quite affect my actions, but it's just like my life is like blah and sad and like feeling like I can't really feel much. But the times where I've had the worst crashes where like I can't even put on shoes, that's when I know it's real bad. Like I'm like, I don't have the energy to put on shoes right now. I will go to work barefoot in my pajamas. I can't put on shoes.
Wow, we all have different
Putting
telltales.
on shoes seems like the worst activity I could ever do.
Wait, I'm trying to think of what mine is.
Like in that, I like remember feeling that so badly. Like I can't put on shoes.
That is interesting.
It's like when I'm in that, it's like something that is triggered by the childhood thing. And it's always like this deep, deep, deep loss of all hope and all reality. And like the feeling that the entire world has just like turned against me. So it's like, I can't do anything.
Rejected?
I'm gonna be helpless forever. I'm on my own fully.
Alone?
And like, life is never gonna get better. It's never gonna be better.
I mean, that's
so
kind of the same
I
thing
can't
I'm
even
saying.
put on shoes. Like, what's the point of putting on shoes? The world
Yeah.
hates me already. So like, why do I need
Yes,
shoes?
and I think we both
Interesting.
isolate in that too.
Yes.
Because it's like, if I see a person
I will just cry.
and I get one tiny fleck of a rejection, I will die.
Yes.
I can't do that. Like,
Yes.
like I don't do like, oh, let me like avoid by being around other people. I'm like,
No.
no, I can't see other
I
people.
burrow
because they will
deeply,
kill me.
deeply burrow into like television. I lay
Yeah.
in my bed. I like anything that's like, it's like this triggering of either it can be like a really long like episode of ruminating OCD tendencies or like a depression tendency, but like I will just lay in my bed and I can't get out, or like I will be watching TikTok until like 2 a.m. and I'm like, if I put this phone down right now, I will die. And I'm literally laying there with one eye open.
Yes.
And I'm like, I can't put it down and turn on. And then I'm like, okay, you gotta do it. So then I do it. But that's how I like, that's where I get into the hardest times. And I remember one time I had a walk, and this was right after one of the absolute worst ones where I couldn't put on shoes. Because that shoe time has only happened a few times. And that's like the worst points of my entire existence. And I heard something in a Father Mike Schmidt's homily. And it was, a man can do any what if he has a greater why. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can do anything if I have a greater why than what I'm doing. So I'm like, okay, I can, like, even if the entire world hates me and everyone hates me and everything's sad and dark and I can't trust anything or anyone, like, if my why is that I just need to keep going just to like keep living because I'm alive, like, that's the why. Like, I can keep going because I'm here and I'm just gonna keep walking. But like, if I can think of a greater why, I can do a what. Like, if I can think of a greater why, then why I should stay in bed.
Wow.
I can get out of bed.
That's really interesting. You mentioned Father Mike Schmitz because
he has
there's
so many
been
good
so
things.
many times where I feel like I'm hitting a really low.
And you search
And
his
the
YouTube videos?
No, not him actually.
I do that.
I mean, I do sometimes his videos,
I
but
do that.
I always
He's so
search
encouraging.
Ascension Presents.
Yes.
And I love watching the Friars.
That's
I'm
where I got
like,
the one in the
oh.
bathtub.
Yes, they are like, and I feel like it's. I think that's something I love about being Catholic is like, there is such an emphasis on suffering has
suffering.
meaning, and
Yes.
when you are suffering, it's like such a great reminder of like, oh, Christ really suffered, and I am not alone, and like, it's not like he was this perfect, flashy Instagram guy or whatever. It was like, no, he really suffered, and I'm suffering a lot, and he like wept for like the people that he loved that were suffering, and I'm one of those people.
And it's like he was
yeah.
out there sweating blood and being like, I don't want to do this.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
it's
he
not,
did it.
it's really
It's-
good reminder.
Not always that we need to like erase the suffering, which is what you feel like in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
But really what happens is you get a greater why. You have like a mindset shift, and suddenly you can just go through the suffering.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like suffering well.
It's
And
weird.
yeah.
Yeah. You're still suffering, but somehow you're not. It's kind of weird. You're suffering, but you're not suffering at the same time. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
No, you
can,
are,
like, tolerate
but you
the
just
suffering.
are dealing with it. Actually, you're facing it. You're
Yes.
working through it.
Yeah.
You're not telling yourself, "I'm a loser. I deserve nothing."
Yeah.
Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And you're like actually facing it, and it's like you have hope that you'll get through it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I read this.
Hope is the thing here.
I don't remember if I read or heard, but somehow I heard from somewhere, some source, and it was like Jesus could have just stopped at any time. He could have just up and died at any time for the cross. Like, he was being whipped, lost a lot of blood. Like, he could have just stopped. He didn't need to do all of that. But, like, he kept going all the way until he literally was crucified and stabbed by a spear. Like, he did all of that. And I think partially because he knew that we were going to have to do it. Like,
Ooh.
it's the most human thing I've ever seen is the crucifixion. Like, and the resurrection afterwards is because if Jesus just died, if he just died and there was nothing after that,
Yeah, we're like,
it
what do you
wouldn't
know
matter.
about suffering?
Exactly. But like, it's the redemption and the resurrection on the third day. And that concept happens in life all of the time. Even if you don't believe in Christianity and things, like, things are redeemed all the time.
true.
No
Yeah, death
matter
and
how
rebirth.
bad, how horrible. All of life is a giant cycle of death and rebirth. That's the entire thing. So it's like we are trudging along on this path and we're going through a lot, but like it's all making us like more resilient. And the most sad things I've ever heard of, and I've heard of this many times, is like when people just get knocked down and they just never
They
get
give up on
they
themselves.
live the rest of their lives on the floor. I have heard of this many, many times about many people that I have known or know of. Like, they just live the rest of their life down. They never got over that thing that hit them hard. They never kept going. They couldn't even like crawl anymore. They were just like, this is me and I give up. This is my life forever.
We should talk about, then perfectly going off of that, about the choice of hope, which I feel like it can hit you a little wrong sometimes.
Yes.
If you're in that depressed kind of place right now, if you're in a rough place, sometimes, speaking to the people who it hits wrong, I just want to speak to you and then we'll just jump into it. We've talked about this before, but sometimes that can hit you wrong. Like, and some of you are probably like, yeah, totally. And some of you are probably like, what? Sometimes it can be like, what do you mean this is a choice? Which, not saying where you're at in the dark place is a choice, but saying this one simple concept, which is hope is a choice. So it's something that you can tune out and ignore and say nope. And then it's something that we've all experienced. It's something that you can in 1 second be like, yes. And then suddenly your whole mindset changes. It just takes 1 second. Like mindset shifts are not like over months and months and months and then you slowly changed. It's not like that all the time. Sometimes that happens, but oftentimes it's literally 1 second and it's one verse that you heard, a quote, a song line, something you saw. It's just something you thought of. It's weird. Just
something
one,
a friend said to you. Or
something a friend said to you.
Yeah.
Something so simple. You hear one sentence or you say one sentence to yourself and suddenly
it opens
Yeah.
up.
you're
Yeah.
like literally one sentence away from a complete mindset shift and from choosing hope.
And I think that I have had that happen so many times where it's like something like gave me hope. And then I learned how to choose it for myself where
Yes.
I don't need
Yes.
something to bring it to me. And the way that I've kind of conceptualized it, I guess, is like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell the future. I have no clue what's going to happen. So I can't know that it's going to be bad forever. I can't know that. And how many times in my life has something I could never have predicted happen?
Yes.
So many.
So
COVID,
that's what I think. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
like,
none of us
I
predicted it.
have no idea what the future is, so I can't say it's all bad. And so many times something really good has happened so randomly that I can't just discount that. That was
Yes.
real.
And it's in both ways. Okay, I have two thoughts. Number one, choosing to hope does not mean that you're choosing to believe that your situation is good. That is not right.
Right.
That's not
No.
right. That's just like lying to yourself.
Toxic positivity.
Yes.
You're like,
Your
I feel great
situation
right now.
Probably it sucks.
Like, I'm so
wherever.
glad I just lost
If you're
my
in
job.
this place, it sucks, and it's not good. They're like, let's realize that. Like, yes, it's horrible right now, but hope just means that something greater can happen.
It means
That's
you
all it
believe
means.
in a
The
possibility
possibility.
of the future.
Yes.
It
Right.
doesn't
Things
mean you
could
know
change.
what's going to happen. It just means
Yes.
it is possible for me to find a
Yes.
way out. That's
Yes.
literally it. Even if you don't know what it is.
That's it.
Can't see
Yes.
anything.
And I have ruined so many moments of my life, so many times of my life, had difficult times because I'm doing one of two things. Number one is broadcasting, planning for bad things that I think are going to happen or hard things I think are going to happen as if I can plan and express them beforehand. Then it'll make it easier when it happens. But that doesn't help at all. Like, I will spend so much time and give myself so much pain by trying to be like, okay, what's going to happen? How am I going to deal with it? How am I going to deal with it? How am I going to deal with it? It doesn't help, actually. And then the second thing is in good times, being like, this is going to end. This is going to end. This is all going to end. And both of those things are life ruiners. It's the practice of being where you are that gives you hope. because you can't live in the future because you have no idea what the future is.
Yeah.
And when we live in the future, we give ourselves more depression and have a worse time because we're like, this right here, where I am, this bad place, which, yeah, it sucks, is the future too. But it's actually not the future. It's today.
Yeah, it's just right now.
It's this minute, it's this hour, it's whatever. But it's not tomorrow yet. It's not next day yet. Like, you don't know where you're going to make a change or when the change is going to come. But it will come if you can keep your mind open to the possibility that it can change. But yeah.
I thought of something kind of in the middle of when you guys were talking about connection and how I know for me, and I know we've kind of all mentioned this in different ways, like when you're in a really low point, you feel really alone. And you feel like, and I know for me, like I think I've shared this before, like I can remember specific times of having like a really bad panic attack and sitting on the floor in my room and like scrolling through my contacts and being like, I really want to reach out to someone, but I don't feel like anyone would understand. Or like, oh, that person would judge me. That person's probably not available. That person, they wouldn't get it. That person would say something that would be like, it just doesn't feel safe to share, which is totally like, I've been there and I know that feeling. But I guarantee that there's someone out there, especially if you pray about it. I usually just say a quick prayer like, God, I know I need to reach out to someone. Please just like give me the courage and just put someone in my mind. Like just someone that I could just text really quick. Like I don't even have to call them because that might be too much. Just be like, hey, I'm really struggling. If you could like say a prayer for me. And usually people will pray for you and they a lot of times will be like, do you want to talk? And them offering that will be like an open door. And I think like the thing with like TV, and I know like a lot of people podcasts, like we seek these things because we want connection. And when you find yourself watching a lot of TV, it's because you like watching people have a relationship and talk with people and connect, but it feels really scary or unsafe in that current state to do that. So I think you should take that as a sign. Like, don't beat yourself up for it because it's very normal. Everyone goes through that a lot of times where they want to connect, but they feel really disconnected. But take that as a sign that you should reach out. And like kind of going back to what you were saying about like, you know, I can't change the nap or whatever. It's like, that's a really good example. I was reading something today that struck me about, again, postpartum. I always think of that. It's such a great metaphor for like fragile mental health because it's such a, it is. I mean, really, it's a fragile time.
In every way.
Yeah, you're sleep deprived, your body is kind of beat up and you just had a baby and you're like, it's very emotional, a lot of things. But it really applies to these other situations when you've hit a low. And something she said in the book, I was like, duh. She was like, when you're having trouble with breastfeeding, it's great to call a lactation consultant because not only do they like have a lot of knowledge on this, but they also have slept. You haven't. It's really easy to come to these irrational conclusions
when you haven't slept.
And that applies to this mental stuff. And it's like when you are going through a really hard mental time, it feels like everything, like you have those foggy glasses you can't really see, and it can be so helpful to talk to someone who can give you a perspective.
Yes.
So that thing that you're avoiding, like I just want to watch TV because I don't want to talk to anyone, okay, maybe watch a few shows, but like tell yourself you're gonna send just one text or like just one little message because you do need to talk to someone and they're not going to be annoyed and they're not going to think you're a burden, they're not going to judge you. Like just say a prayer, God will show you the person. And I've done that a million times, and every time I'm so relieved that I did it, and I felt so much better. So just reach out. That's something that I thought of.
Thanks for listening to the Cimorelli podcast. To hear the rest of this episode, join our Patreon at patreon.com/Cimorelli, where we post every episode in full. You can also watch all of our past seasons and Patreon-only episodes when you become a patron.
You've been listening to the Cimorelli podcast. Follow Cimorelli on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. You can also find Cimorelli on Facebook and Instagram.